It doesn't matter what time you live in. Being a human being and living on planet Earth, you encounter a lot of crap. And we've been striving for ages on figuring out how to contend with the heaping pile of manure that lies right in front of us. But just imagine if we could take all of the crap in the world and just send it away. Well, today's story is about the people who embarked on a journey to do just that. Literally. Hi, my name is Gabe Bauer, and this is Top Shelf History, where we combine great stories with great drinks. These are the Porcelain Thrones. They are the drinks I have made for you today, comprised of rum, Frangelico, Creme de Cacao, and yellow Chartreuse. And they are inspired by perhaps one of the most appreciated inventions in history. It is known under many names: the John, the Harrington, the Loo, the Porcelain Thrones, and many others. But it is perhaps most commonly known as the toilet. Yes, we are doing this, and no, this isn't a joke, so come on with me and step inside the porta potty of history as we learn about the invention of the toilet. The task of disposing humanity's eaten meals has been at the forefront of every society, from chamber pots to garderobes, from outhouses to the harrowing experience of having to dig a hole in the woods. Trust me, I know. People have always been looking for the best way to do their, well, business. But what we know today as the flushable toilet wasn't even really mentioned in history until the 16th century, as far as we know. A description of the device was first penned into paper by Queen Elizabeth's godson, Sir John Harrington. The first toilet actually required 7.5 gallons to flush, but it was still so innovative that it was immediately placed in the palace anyway. In the 1700s, Mr. Alexander Cumming formally requested a patent on the flushable toilet. He also is credited with inventing the S-shaped pipe that we all know and love, and trust me, you do too, because it greatly reduced that special smell that emanates from the sewer, as well as keeping the water pressure in the pipes. And I'm sure it also has many other beneficial reasons that I was far too afraid to research. But he did it, and we thank you for it, Mr. Cummings. But then, finally, the crap met the crapper. In the late 1800s, Thomas Crapper came out with his own line of flushable toilets and began to distribute them on a much grander scale. He's also credited with inventing the wonderfully named ball cock, also known as the toilet valve. It's actually a very critical component of our modern toilet system, as it limits the amount of water that comes in the water tank to just rinse out the bowl. Without it, we would probably have very special swimming pools in our bathrooms. Crapper was so successful in his business that King Edward VII actually commissioned him to build bathrooms in his royal palace, his own personal porcelain thrones. Crapper was so good at building his toilets that when American soldiers came over to England in World War I and World War II, they would actually carry the name Crapper back with them to the States. And thus, mankind's crap had found its home in the crapper. How inspirational. Now that's enough potty talk. Let's claim our thrones. We will start our drink with 1 part of rum. Now, I'm using white rum because we just want to establish a base for our drink. And this is a pretty sweet drink, so having a sweet liquor that doesn't have a whole lot of other flavors in it will work really well. We're going to follow that up with 1 part of Frangelico, and I gotta say, this stuff is a more bolder hazelnut flavor than just eating a handful of hazelnuts, at least in my opinion. It's crazy bold, but we're going to stick 1 part of that in there as well. 1 more there. There we go. And then we will follow that up with 1 part of yellow Chartreuse. Now, if you've never used Chartreuse or you've never come across it, you'll know this is one of my favorite liquors. It's delicious, it's amazing, but it is expensive. And that's because it's made of so many different herbs, so many different spices, and also the way that they ferment it over the time. It's all of that goes into the price. Now, this one's actually more expensive than its green rendition, which is typically known as green chartreuse or normal chartreuse. And that's because this one includes honey and saffron. So the inclusion of those two specific ingredients are a little bit more expensive, and so it'll be more expensive than the other rendition of this particular liquor. But we're gonna put in 1 part here. And this will add so much complexity and depth, and I love it. Put in a little bit more. And then we're just going to mix that up. So it's all nice and homogeneous. And yes, I'm gonna use the word homogeneous. And now we're gonna go with our second part. And we're gonna follow the same line. We're gonna go 1 part of chartreuse, 1 part of rum, and 1 part of Frangelico, but we're also going to add another part of Creme de Cacao. Now, when I'm talking about parts, you may not be aware, that's mainly just talking about ratios when we're talking for alcohol. So when I say 1 part to 1 part, that's a 1-to-1 ratio. So when you're looking at shots, you essentially want equal amounts of Frangelico in this drink as you do for rum, for chartreuse, and also for Creme de Cacao. So this would be a third, a third, and a third. This will be a fourth, a fourth, a fourth, and a fourth. If you want to be really, really specific about it and you don't want to eyeball it like what I'm doing right now, you can measure them out in your jig at like a 1/4 ounce or something like that, and that'll work just fine. So we'll stir that up, and there we have it. The Porcelain Thrones, number 1 and number 2. Now, they look good. Trust me, they are going to taste a lot better than they look. So I'm going to taste number 1 here first. Oh, that is delicious. It's sweet, but the chartreuse has so many herbal components. It's so complex. You kind of just go around. I'm still getting it. I'm still developing it in my taste buds right now. All of the different flavors from all of the different herbs that's in it. You can taste the honey. You can taste the saffron. You can taste all of those special herbs that make up chartreuse. And even more so, you can taste that hazelnut too. It kind of is like a little nutty punch right at the end there. And the rum just carries it all over so well. But that is a delicious drink. Now, as is the case, as you know, when you start out with number 1, you normally end up with number 2, or vice versa. So I think I'll have number 2 as well. Oh yeah, it's much the same like number 1. You get the chartreuse, you get the Frangelico nuttiness, but that presence of the Creme de Cacao, the chocolate liqueur in there, it just adds an added level of richness and another layer of depth that is decadence. It really almost feels regal. It is our porcelain thrones here. So it's really delicious. I think it would be a wonderful dessert drink, honestly. Definitely something I would sip. And I assure you that neither of these would send you to their namesake, unless, of course, you have too many. But that sounds like last call. So when I was coming across my research into the flush toilet, there is a lot of information that preceded the flush toilet, because the modern toilet, the flush toilet, only came to be invented in the 16th century and then only gained popularity in the 19th century. So where did people do with their excrement in the meantime? Well, there was a number of different ways. There would be digging holes in the ground, there would be chamber pots and different other things. But amid the massive boom of castles that we saw in the 11th century, castle designers, the architects, would actually design what was called garderobes, or essentially kind of these primitive bathrooms into the architecture themselves. So what they looked like were these narrow openings or slits, and eventually they would actually become rooms in which there would be a hole in the ground and you would be able to do your dirty deed in there and take care of your business. And One of the reasons why they were called garderobes is it was actually a euphemism later on for closets, which is kind of weird because you're like, why would a bathroom be known as a closet? Well, the reason is because garderobes would serve as a great place for you to be able to hang up your robe, your fur robes or other things like that, above the hole, because the amount of ammonia coming from the urine within that hole would actually kill any fleas that were attached to your robes. Also, later on, these garderobes would actually serve as a weak point in the castle's defenses. But then again, it's not like anybody really wanted to tear those things down, because if you happen to have the unfortunate experience of falling down the garderobe, you would be in a world of poo. So, yeah. Hey Top Shelfers, so we actually got some requests from some of you guys on getting some top shelf gear, and of course we are so excited to be able to bring some of that to you. I wanted to bring so much more out here, but here's just a small sampling. We actually offer a lot more. So we got pint glasses, shot glasses, coasters, we've got t-shirts, we've got hats, we probably even have shoes. I don't even know. We've got so many things. They're all well designed. They are all of excellent quality, and I think that you will love every single thing that you decide to get, and you will look amazing in it. So you can find our store at our website at topshelfhistory.com. You can also find it on Zazzle.com. And should you guys decide to get anything, please tag us on Instagram at Top Shelf History. Let us know. We'd love to see you guys in it. Obviously, we do this show for you guys. We love doing everything that we do here for you guys, and we'd love to see how much you guys love the show as well. So please tag us and have an awesome day, because you guys rock. Thank you all so much for watching. If you'd like to check out my earlier episodes, you can find them all at topshelfhistory.com. There we also have all of our recipes, blogs, deep dives, and more from all of us here at Top Shelf History. Remember, history is better with a drink or drinks. Cheers.